Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well today. It is my privilege to introduce to you guys Swami Sachidanand Saraswati. My name is Siddharth. I'm a consultant here in Dallas, and it's my honor to be the host for today's session. Hari Om Swamiji, thank you so much for joining us.
युक्ताहारविहारस्य युक्तचेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः. So Krishna says, how do you balance this mind? Just few simple aspects. When one listens to it, one may get a feeling that, yeah, I know this, what is the big deal in it? But then one has to introspect and see whether we are living according to it. Am I living like this, in this format? So Krishna says, Yukta Ahara, right food, right balanced food is what you need in order to keep the mind healthy, balanced, and on your side. So balanced food, I need not say about anything because everybody seems to be a food expert, but everybody seems to know everything about food, but they keep ordering all sort of junk food and keep eating, and then all the time they think that they're health conscious, whereas one has to introspect and see, am I consuming the right food? And you see, in the scriptures, the food is not just what you eat through your mouth. So the physical food is the food for the mouth and the stomach, and there are your ears, and sound is the food for the ears, and the forms, the visual forms are the food for the eyes, the smells and fragrances are the food for the nose, comfort is the food for the skin. So all these sense organs are all the time eating something or the other. So if you observe, you have to regulate all the inputs that you take in through these senses. So Bhagavad Gita's diet, Bhagavad Gita's balanced diet is not just about the food, physical food aspect like vegetables, fruits or whatever. It is also to do with all the inputs that you take in through all the senses. Music, there also you need a balanced. Just because you have the AirPods and the earbuds, it's not that all the time there is sensory input of the music. It has to be balanced at a certain time of the day, in certain places. Otherwise, be one with the natural sounds that is around you. At the forms, all the time one is consuming some or the other social media content. So to such an extent, it as though becomes a mental constipation. You have the brain freeze, you do not know what to do. Only reason is that you are consuming excess of content. So Krishna says, Yukta Ahara, right balance of food that you take in through all the senses.
So the Bhagavad Gita is rich with knowledge. People can spend months, years, decades understanding it, learning it. But if you had to think about, five pillars for the Bhagavad Gita, what would you want those pillars to be for simplicity's sake, to make it more digestible, or to encourage people to take a deeper dive into it? What would you say are five pillars, the five pillars of the Bhagavad Gita?
Okay, so since we are in a time to reduce everything, I'll digest it even further and say three pillars of Bhagavad Gita, make it more easier. So these few pillars of Bhagavad Gita would be, one is karma. The first pillar is karma. So Bhagavad Gita talks about how to efficiently do your actions, how to make your actions most effective, and how to keep your actions balanced. So it has a vision called Karma Yoga, which can be a guiding force for all the actions that we undertake. So the Karma Yoga would be one pillar of Bhagavad Gita. The other pillar of Jnana Yoga. So another pillar would be that. So any action, a right action or effective action presupposes knowledge. So great amount of knowledge has to be there. Right knowledge and effective knowledge must be there in place. So Bhagavad Gita gives a vision to have this knowledge about oneself and the world around. So with this knowledge, you can perform all your actions effectively and make your life more effective. So that's Jnana Yoga or Jnanam would be another pillar. The third pillar would be Bhakti. Bhakti or Bhakti Yoga. Life is not dry thing. Life is living organic entity. So this Jnana, the karma, have to be tied with the thread of Bhakti. So Bhakti is love. If I would simply translate Bhakti as love. So love must be that fundamental force for knowing anything, for understanding anything, and based on that, to do things for oneself and for others. All actions, karma yoga. So when love becomes the foundation, basis for all of this karma and jnana, life becomes a beautiful journey. So I would say karma, jnana, bhakti would be three pillars on basis of which you can understand the vision of Bhagavad Gita.
Radhe Radhe, and a spiritual good morning to one and all on this fourth day of the JK Yog Bhagavad Gita Summit 2021. Today's youth-oriented talk, or perhaps question, is: can the Bhagavad Gita help me find answers to my questions? Dr. Kaipa, welcome to the JK Yog Bhagavad Gita Summit 2021. The virtual podium is now yours.
Thank you very much. The way in which I'm formulating this talk is, first I will present some of the lessons that I learned and also some of the answers about 50 youth have given recently when I asked them to write an essay about what is Bhagavad Gita for them, what did they learn from Bhagavad Gita that they can apply in real life, both in school and life. When I asked them, they have given a series of answers. So first, let me put them on, because you can see how children from age 10 to 18 understand Bhagavad Gita and how they apply it. So there are about 4 or 5 slides. So first thing that itself comes down to the authenticity. Stop trying to fit in, because there is a lot of stuff about which group you fit in, which clique you fit in, all of them. But they are saying you need to be authentic. Non-violent approach to bullying. So bullying is one area where they see you could do it, but it is non-violent. They are not interpreting it as completely ahimsa, means even if they hit me, I keep quiet. But it is more like ahimsa is an attitude. That means coming from a courageous state where you are not afraid of somebody and you are actually taking it in a very powerful manner. Tolerance and forgiveness are two ways in which you can deal with and others can deal with you.
The one that I wanted to ask is that towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives the information to Arjun that he has imparted the knowledge, but Arjun should then do as he pleases. And likewise in the Ramayana as well, Lord Ram did that at a discourse in Ayodhya. Now, with youth or children, are there any constraints that we need to add when giving this knowledge before they do as they please?
The key is recognizing that while children might have the divine consciousness, but sometimes the experience may not be there in applying it, in content, in context, in spirit of it. So they require mentorship and they require guidance to a certain extent, so that whatever they are doing requires to be kind of, what you might call with appropriate careful, compassionate way, we need to work with them. So with Maitri, with Karuna, like what they call Maitri, Karuna, Mutta, Upeksha, as they say it in Yoga Sutras, then we can guide them to get best out of it. That's what Lord Krishna did to Arjuna. We may have to do that with our children as well.